Howdy cats and canaries, let's jump into the driver's seat and get behind the wheel and under the hood of the brand new Formula 1 2018. I'm sorry. Formula 1 in 2018 is brought to us yet again by Codemasters, who are now in their 10th year of producing the sports' flagship game. But is it going to get the checkered flag or be stuck in the pits? That's the last one, I'm sorry. Formula 1 games have came a long way since back in the day when I played the heck out of Microprose's Grand Prix in 1992. I even had time to do the full 80 laps. Now the game has all the bells and whistles you'd expect from a high-end sports game. TV-like presentation, all the correct licensing and brands, names and faces, and a chance to take your own driver to be the best in the world. In the past 6 years, Codemasters have developed 19 games. With the exception of Overlord Fellowship of Evil, they're all racing titles, so you'd hope they know what they're doing. By far the main driving force in the game, if you'll excuse the pun, is the career mode. You can create your driver in-game choosing from a selection of customizable options and join one of the main teams of the sport. Joining a better team will demand better results, while partnering up with a lower rated team will give you a bit of leeway. Once you're shown around the garage, you get to sit at your workstation, which essentially becomes your player hub. Here, you can check messages from your team, see invitations to events, look at all your details such as player value and level. You can also spend your XP points to research aspects of your car to improve it. You can manage your vehicle and view all current season info. Once you're ready, you can head out to the next race or event. With career mode, you can really go to town on each race, having multiple practice sessions with a chance to rack up XP, which can be spent on research and development for your car. And of course there's qualifying and the race itself. Factor in some media interviews and lots of stats and it's a pretty full and meaty mode. As well as the career mode, as you'd expect, you also have multiplayer, which I can't really comment on deeply as this was a pre-release copy of the game that we got, so the lobbies were empty. But it looks like you've got the usual options. There's ranked races and unranked races, and you can also run a championship online with your friends. But I can only imagine that's going to take a lot of time. You can also play a Grand Prix, comprising of a single race weekend or multiple races, like a mini season. There's a time trial mode where you can log a fastest lap and compete with the rest of the world. Championship mode sees you competing in challenges from a full season to select races and hot laps. You compete to earn stars to progress to more challenges, and this seems a little bit like the older generation of games in that it's just the racing that counts. It takes away the depth given in career mode and just throws you into the cockpit and qualifying, then the race. And rounding off the modes is events, which are scheduled challenges which will task you with a different test depending on the current live event. I've not followed Formula 1 racing since the days of Damon Hill and Martin Brundle, but I know a lot has changed and it's even more so about the cars as it was back then. And even though it's just a race that goes round and round, there's a lot of game here. The career mode itself is full of bits and bobs besides racing. You can tweak your car to your heart's content, always making it better by research and development. You'll also have to handle the press and decide whether you're a sportsman or a showman. Some answers will please the team, others might knock you down a peg or two.
You didn't spend much time practicing. Are you saving your car for the main event? Great, well that's everything.
The career mode is broken up a little by throwing some invites to some fun races with historic cars. The first being a checkpoint race where you get 50 seconds to travel 7.8 kilometres in a 1976 F1 Ferrari. Each checkpoint gives you extra time, and it's a nice little addition to balance the seriousness of a hefty career. Something I'm a sucker for in sports games is licensing, and with all the real-life drivers and their cars available to play as and against here, that's a big thumbs up from me. There's something exciting about being on the same team as Max Verstappen and trying to beat him to driver position 1.
Weekend, another exciting qualifying session ahead of us. What are you going to be looking out for over the next few minutes?
The first question's going to be who can avoid making mistakes. There isn't much margin for error in qualifying, and you have to bear in mind that the track conditions may have changed since practice.
Formula 1 2018 is definitely a step in the right direction. There's no huge change from 2017, but perhaps there is enough to warrant picking up a copy if you do enjoy the games. It all looks a little better, and due to the career mode being such a weight of the game, the additions are most welcome. The physics of the cars are better too. Different car setups do feel different, enough to note the change, and the control feels right. Going from a 2018 car to a 1976 car is a huge change, and you feel it. The older car is slower, less manoeuvrable and sluggish compared to the current car, which, when likened to the historic cars, feels like a puck in air hockey. There's no lack of options on how you want to drive around and around, and the game feels full of choice in how to play. But when it boils down to it, the game's a bit like FIFA or Madden. It's essentially one thing. In FIFA, it's a game of football. In Formula 1, it's cars racing round and round a track. Everything else is just pretty much a different way to play that task. That doesn't mean it's boring, far from it, but it makes breaking it down fairly simple. It also has the gift that even though every game is the same thing over and over, just like FIFA, every game is also very different. If you like racing games in general, even though this is very specific, I still think this will rev your engine. You may want to bypass the micromanagement career mode and jump into the championships mode just to do the driving, but it's still fun. If you top that with being a big fan of the sport, then this will be a dream for you. The attention to detail behind the scenes will fascinate you, and the thrill of being on the tracks you know so well will flood your engine, in a good way. Godspeed! Thanks for watching, chaps. Please do hit subscribe to keep up to date with all our YouTube activity and catch up with the latest episode of the podcast on your podcast players. For everything else, head to www.thenearlymen.com. Happy trails!